Days like days today that make you feel like being a kid again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Inside the Iggles live stream. I'm going to stop using the word podcast, man. There are 5 million podcasts. 4 million of them suck. 500,000 of them aren't really that good either. The other 500,000 are good, but you can't find them because you're scrolling through the other 4,500,000. But that's another story for another day. Welcome to the live stream of Inside the Iggles. We got some special guests on here for you tonight. We got some veterans of the Inside the Iggles podcast. We got one of our new contributors hanging out with us tonight. And we got all kinds of stuff to talk about, man, especially at one of the best times of the year. If you're a nerd like myself who still watches Marvel movies and is just excited because Transformers have live action streams now, and Transformers just opened in the theaters like 3 weeks ago, and now it's already on digital, so you can buy this thing. Like, when did that start? Like, all of a sudden now you can actually just get movies while the movie's still playing in the theater. Like, this is the best thing that's ever happened to life. And I wouldn't trade the era that I lived in for anything. My nephew picks on me. He asks me questions like, "Hey, Unc, were you alive when Randall Cunningham was still playing?" Yes, I was alive for that. "Hey, Unc, were you alive when Magic Johnson was still playing?" Yes, I was alive for that too. But I wouldn't trade the era that I lived in for anything. We had the best hip-hop. I came at the tail end of the Julius Erving experience. So my father was a huge Julius Erving fan. I got to check out little Dr. J at the end of his career. I got to see Barkley. I got to see Iverson. I got to see Jordan. So all this stuff that you guys are looking at and marveling over, this is all reruns to me. I remember when Transformers came on at 4 p.m. when you got out of school, and then G.I. Joe came on at 4:30 and stuff. But Madden's been around forever, man. I can take it back to the Atari days when you had Bird versus Jordan, and both of them looked alike depending on the quality of your television set. Couldn't tell Bird from Jordan. You had Tecmo Bowl that came out for a little while. That was tons of fun. There was no way to trade Bo Jackson, who was virtually unstoppable on the game, to the Eagles, because if I'd had Bo Jackson and Randall Cunningham, nobody would have ever beaten me. But what else did we have? We had Atari, we had Nintendo, we had Sega Genesis. Everything was two-dimensional, and the action figures moved from the left to the right of the screen. To this day, on Super Mario Brothers, when I run over to that cliff and try to jump on that damn flag, I can't get on top of the flag and get the 5,000 points. I always fall off the cliff and have to run over and jump up and get the 200. Still can't do that to this day, man, but it's a totally different experience when we start talking about Madden and EA Sports and what they've done with the game. We went from those little digital figures that didn't look anything like the characters to now we got face shots, and you got all kinds of guys with tattoos and stuff that look exactly like they look on the game. So I've been checking my messages. I've been hanging out around the house all day. I had people call me to make sure my phone worked because I wasn't receiving any phone calls, because I want to make sure EA wasn't trying to call me, because I keep putting in my bid and adding them at Twitter and on Facebook and things of that nature. I keep trying to get their attention, let them know that I'd love to be one of their ratings adjusters, and they still hadn't called me yet. Here's what I think. I think Jalen Hurts is a 99. You guys can disagree if you want. I'm sure Jake won't. Jake probably has Patrick Mahomes as a 70. But what I'm trying to tell you guys is, whenever it's time for me to start doing these ratings adjustments, I'm ready to do it, because I've been studying this. I've equipped myself with all the tools necessary to be excellent at this and great at this and everything. And I just can't wait. I can't wait for the game to come out, because I'm tired of going to Madden 23 and having to download all those roster packages and things of that nature with guys I never heard of. And they got some mixtures of guys on the team and stuff. I have to turn off the salary cap and cheat so I can put all the guys that are supposed to be on the team. I got Nolan Smith, Jalen Carter, and believe it or not, I also got Odell Beckham Jr. on the team. I did what you guys wanted to do. I might pick up DeAndre Hopkins tonight. But until Madden 24 comes out, we're here to talk about all the smoke. We're here to do some ratings adjustments of ourselves. We're going to give overs to all the starters on the Eagles offense and defense tonight. And to do so, I brought along some buzz from mine. Welcome to the broadcast, my man Jake Beckham and my man Jaleel from Inside the Eagles. How you fellas doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm a big fan of the Madden rating time. I love that. It's nonsense to me, and I'm here, absolutely here for it.
They haven't called me yet. They haven't asked me anything, but we're gonna give it to them anyway. And we brought reinforcements from the Sons of Swoop podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause for our homeboy Joe. What's going on, Joe?
Yo, what's going on, guys? Super excited to be on this live stream. It's actually my first time on a live stream, but we're gonna have some fun tonight.
All right, most definitely are. All right, guys. So if you tuned in a little late, some of you guys were late to the broadcast. Whatever happened, we're talking about Madden adjustment. We're adjusting the Madden ratings tonight that we haven't actually received yet. We know AJ Brown's a 91, Devontae Smith's an 89. I looked at Terrell Edmonds; he was in the 70s. Quez is the fourth highest rated guy that they put out tonight because today they did the safeties and the wide receivers. And I might actually have to pull up those numbers and everything, but I remember seeing AJ Brown was 91. I think
the overalls right here.
All right, let's go with him.
Overalls right here for you. AJ Brown 91, Devontae Smith 87, Quez Watkins 75, Reed Blankenship 73, Terrell Edmonds 78. That's what they're giving us.
Reed's
I got a few problems.
I thought he was going to try to screw him.
My biggest problem with it so far already just is Devontae Smith. And I have a problem with AJ Brown too. But Devontae Smith, 87, like the 19th best guy on the roster. I don't agree with that at all. I think he's proven he's the number one guy. You know, if we didn't have AJ Brown, having Devontae Smith is not a huge drop off. And AJ Brown was phenomenal. Him being a 91, he should be at least a 95.
I looked at all his stuff. I think he was like 91 in speed as well and 93 in acceleration. And they gave him a little, they kind of screwed him on the agility rating things. And for those of y'all who are asking why we're sitting here talking about this, if you don't believe this stuff is important, go ask Tyreek Hill about his speed rating. I'm probably sure he knows exactly what it is, whether or not it's accurate. Also from the Sons of Swoop podcast, we're bringing out the homeboy, Jeff. It's about to get real crowded in here, but we're going to make it work. What's going on, Jeff?
What's going on, gentlemen? How are you?
Good, man. How's it going? How's your day?
It's going good. You know, just work, but this is what it's all about right here. It's talking the birds.
All right, man. So we were just sitting here talking about ratings, and Jai, if you get up with those ratings once again, we just try to make sure these are accurate.
Yes, sir. AJ Brown overall 91, Devontae Smith 87, Quez Watkins 75, Reed Blankenship 73, Terrell Edmonds 78.
So, yeah, I think with both wide receivers, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, I think they're both underrated here. I mean, when we got A.J. Brown, he is a game changer. And if you were to go into a lab and make a wide receiver, he'd look a lot like A.J. Brown. I mean, he really doesn't have too many weaknesses. And Devontae Smith he really flashed last year with some fantastic plays. So I think they should both be higher. But as Eagles fans, we're very lucky to have both those guys on our team.
I have a question about this, and I don't know if anybody knows the answer to this, or if there, even is an answer remotely. What does the overall come from? Like, where is that? It's not an average, right? Or is it an average of the numbers?
The problem is there's so many metrics, and that it makes it difficult. It is somewhat of an average. Like if you create a player, you're going to dictate all the ratings, and it's going to, come into the overall. But like somebody for Devontae Smith, we know that his route running is amazing. His medium and his long ball are good. His short route running that they gave him is like a 40-something, which is absurd.
I'm looking at this. I got this pulled up here too, because for Devontae, it has his strength at 49. Which kind of makes him sound like a little baby. Like that's like I got a nephew who probably ranks at 52 and he's 7.
I think they're just basing that just on the size and everything, but that still seems accurate. Like I keep waiting on Devontae Smith to get broken up like Britton Covey, the crash test dummy.
Nah.
Everything keeps happening to Britton Covey that I think is going to happen to Devontae Smith, but Devontae Smith looks for contact, man. He's not.
Yes, he does.
He's not shying away from stuff at all.
Yeah, Britton Covey, looking at this, his strength is a whapping 39. And all right,
that makes sense. That makes sense.
I can't argue with that. But he's only 10 points lower than Devontae. You gotta get out of here. What are you talking about?
I don't know if I put Devontae at 87. I think I got to bump him up to the 90s too. Y'all disagree with that or what?
No, 90s definitely.
I'm with you.
Sure.
Definitely.
If that, like, I think with the ingredient here, like they get mad at me because I said we didn't have enough Pro Bowlers and all pros, but I'm willing to put him up there in the 90s, man.
Same.
Yeah, I'm looking now at his like the lowest ratings that he has. Okay. In case you're wondering what Madden has dignified as a rating for Devontae Smith for his kick accuracy, he's got a 15, so that'll probably bring him down pretty considerably. His truck rating is 46. You know, the advanced metrics is what we're looking at there.
There we go. That's that Pro Football Focus stuff. You know, the stuff you need a premium subscription for.
I don't even think this is an average of everything that we're talking about. I think what they do is they just take the guy that they think is the best. So if Justin Jefferson is the best wide receiver and we feel like, you know, we don't want to cheat him out of his rating and everything, we'll just give him a 99. And then we'll stat guys and we'll just base ratings based off of where we think guys actually fall. That's kind of what I got from it. I could be wrong. John M says overall doesn't matter in Madden. It's all about that speed rating, baby.
That's very true.
Which is true.
But for create a player in backyard baseball. You're not going to worry about fielding. You're not going to worry about pitching. It's just speed and hitting. That's all you're there for. we only care about just min maxing.
I keep putting my third best wide receiver at number 3 and everything, so I can match up on somebody else's third best corner. And nobody seems to figure out this is what I'm doing every single game. And I'm just blitzing dudes like day in day out, man. So
you're toxic.
It's never
it's super toxic
because we just overthink this stuff. It's never those guys that actually win. It's like some 18-year-old kid who's never played the game from Alaska.
Yes.
You go for it on 4th and 15?
Yeah. I go for it all the time.
You can't pop Madden.
I always go for 2 in extra points. Like I don't kick extra points.
Playing the game like me when I was 7, baby. That's what we're talking about right here. I didn't know the punt was a button.
I used to get angry with dudes online, like, you're supposed to punt it.
I'm not a coward.
I learned quickly.
As usual, we've gotten totally off subject already. So, Jeff, Joe, take a couple minutes, guys. Introduce yourselves. Tell us about the Sons of Swoop podcast. What you guys coming up?
Yeah, so again, guys, we're super excited to be on this podcast. We love the birds. So we started our podcast last year. Really, the reason why we started our podcast is I feel like we kind of live in this hot take culture. And we want to be kind of more, hey, what is actually happening? What do we actually think? I feel like you guys are exactly the same. You just say what you think. You're not just trying to create a controversy. But listen, we've both been Birds fans since birth. So it's definitely, we watch every game. We literally call each other during the game after, every big play. So we're huge fans. If you guys want to check us out, we're on Spotify, we're on Twitter, we're on Threads, Instagram, all that good stuff.
Yeah, just to build off what Joe said, we've been buddies since high school, college, and the Birds has just been a big part of our friendship. And last year, we're like, we talk about it so much. Let's just share what we have to say for the world. And like Joe was saying, we have more grounded takes. We're not into like the Skip Bayless or locally Howard Eskin type deal, but we just have a lot of fun doing it. And we've listened to you guys. We thought you guys were great. So it's awesome that we're together tonight.
Appreciate it, man.
Awesome.
First a minute. So I'm gonna get everybody's take on this. I'm just gonna go around the room. You guys feel free to jump in. I saw something the other day. Lane Johnson is noisy and overrated. This from an unnamed NFL exec, and you guys know how we feel about unnamed guys. Like, we know how the game works, and we know why they're unnamed and stuff like that. But who in their right mind is going to sit here and say that Lane Johnson is overrated just based off the fact that the Eagles run too much run-pass option? I remember him being around before this run-pass option actually became a thing. I remember he was still pretty effective then. I think the only thing that can stop Lane Johnson is Lane Johnson. I hate to bring up old stuff that people just keep. People never want to let people grow and forgive them for things that happen, but the PED thing, and we know how that went and stuff. But even without that, it seems like he got better. That's my opinion. What's yours?
Yeah, I think when you look at Lane Johnson, Stoutland University, I mean, he just keeps getting better and better. Yeah, the PEDs happened, and I remember when they happened, and I remember looking at my phone and being so frustrated that he was suspended for like 10 games. But when you look at the Eagles' record without Lane Johnson, I mean, we have by far a losing record without him. So he is vital to not just the offense, but the entire team, because he's just excellent. He's just totally excellent.
And when you think about it, a lot of the premier pass rushers used to be on the left side, but these days it seems to have shifted a little bit more to the right. Guys like Justin Houston and Von Miller play on that right side. DeMarcus Lawrence plays on that right side. A lot of premier pass rushers are over there. J.J. Watt as well played over there, T.J. Watt. So that right position, the importance of it has elevated. And year after year, game after game, he's shutting these guys down. You don't even hear their names. You go back to last season, everybody talked about Micah Parsons is going to humble, this offensive line that they say is, elite. You didn't hear his name pretty much at all in the first half of that first game until Lane Johnson got hurt. That's when he started, making a little noise and getting in the backfield, playing against the backup. But when Lane Johnson was in there, you heard nothing about Michael Parsons, and you never hear anything about any of these guys.
Yeah, as far as calling him overrated, you'd have to think the person, whatever unnamed exec said that maybe just is not, I don't know, familiar with the idea of numbers, or I don't know anything really, because you just looking at like what Joe said about the win-loss thing. It's crazy. It's crazy that one guy can have that much of an effect. One guy who's not the quarterback can have that much of an effect on a win-loss record. That is like the definition of being, I don't know, I was going to say valuable, but the fact that those numbers coincide with him on the field, man, he's not overrated. That's an incredibly proper rating. That is the exact rate. That's the rating. There's no over or they nailed it. They nailed how they rate Lane Johnson.
Honestly, he's almost underrated. When's the last time he's allowed a sack? When's the last time anyone's even been near the quarterback when he's out on the field? His pass protection is unparalleled. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer, no question. Eagles legend, Super Bowl champ. What more can you say about the guy? He's been so consistent, especially these last 5 or 6 years. Just the best right tackle in football, no question.
Yeah.
Even with a torn up gut.
Yeah. Yeah, and they leave him on an island too. It's not like we have anybody helping him out there. Like Stoutland trusts him just to be out there on his own, and he takes care of business every game. So, yeah, I'm with you guys.
And he's tough as nails. He was hurt, injured, battling through it.
I think there's like a thing he said that he felt him re-injure it during a game, and it loosened him up. I was like, that's grit, dude. That's a man. Hold on. If I re-hurt myself after, I don't know if he technically underwent surgery, but if I re-tear a soft tissue, I'm crying. I'm crying. I'm openly crying wherever I'm at. And he just I'll keep playing ball.
From what I understand, it sounds like he was experiencing some discomfort, but there was still some slight tear. But once he tore it completely, he felt better.
Yeah. Why wouldn't you?
Loosened it up for him. Okay.
I'm feeling tight. You want to tear my oblique for me? Preach.
All right, we're gonna save this for later and everything, but I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I'm not gonna put him in 99 because I don't want to seem greedy and everything, because I already got Jalen Hurts as a 99. Actually, Patrick Mahomes is probably gonna be your 99 at quarterback, so they're gonna probably put Jalen Hurts a step under that. So I'll be satisfied if Jalen Hurts gets a 98. But if he gets Jalen Hurts beyond the 95 and lower range, I'm gonna be very upset about that. And again, those of y'all who tune in late, this is important.
You're going to be disappointed.
I believe I am. I'm disappointed with that. I don't see him as 87.
There's somebody there is a Washington Commanders fan, because why is Terry McLaurin over AJ Brown?
Thank you. Yes, I saw that too. That's crazy.
Yeah, there's no way AJ Brown's the 9th best receiver in the NFL.
That's laughable.
No,
I love DeAndre Hopkins too. 700 yards last year, 400 or 4 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns. Come on, man. Over AJ Brown as well. Love D Hop, but he's coming off a PED thing too. Wasn't that the reason why he was suspended?
Yep. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, all right. So he doesn't get penalized for that. Okay.
I think SportsCenter and stuff ruined true analysis, man, because now it's guys are allowed to get away with what they used to be as opposed to what they are now. Nobody wants to talk about Dalvin Cook and these fumbling issues. Nobody wants to acknowledge the fact that DeAndre Hopkins is not Nuke Hopkins from Clemson anymore. He's not the DeAndre Hopkins from Houston anymore. I haven't seen that guy in a long time. But we're going to rely on reputation and stuff. And I'm going to go with Darius Slay, even though we talked about this last week, Jeff and Joe. We were talking about Darius Slay and the fact that there's this tendency to believe that he's one of the great players in the game, and he is. But if we're all being honest and we're all being objective about what we saw, he started hot and he cooled towards the end of the year. James Bradberry was more consistent all year round, but he may not have the physical talent that Darius Slay has. But both of them are excellent, and I've still got them above Trayvon Diggs, who is, just as capable of giving up a big play as he is making one. And Stephon Gilmore from Rock Hill, South Carolina. I love him. He's a Gamecock, but Stephon Gilmore is not the Stephon Gilmore that he was in New England. And I don't even think the guy in New England was the same guy that we saw in Buffalo. So,
I think it's so funny you bring that up because I totally agree with you. I don't know what Jeff thinks, but I love James Bradberry. I just think he's a little bit more consistent than Slay. When Slay's on, he is one of the best in the league, but he'll have a clunker here and there. And I think Bradberry is just consistently really, really good. And I like his personality too. He's very calm. He doesn't get overexcited. Slay can be a little emotional sometimes, and I think that plays into some of his poorer games. But listen, when they're both on, we have a really good cornerback duo.
No, Slay's definitely still a good player. You just have some questions. He's going to be, was he 32, turning 33 this year? Corners don't really have that long of a career in the NFL. You're totally right. He cooled off in the second half of last year. I think just the fact that, he's big play Slay, like he makes those exciting electric plays. But he tends to get beat more often than Bradberry does, I would say.
Yeah, I'm again, love Slay. The 7 interceptions that he's had as an Eagle. It's 2 against Kirk, 1 against Cooper Rush, Trevor Siemian, 2 against Sam Darnold, and then Andy Dalton are the 6 that he's had. And like you're saying, makes those big flashy plays. I would like to see them more. I think that the consistency of James Bradberry puts him a little bit over the top as far as skill at a corner goes. Personality wise, love Slay.
I think
you guys noticed we've never beaten Andy Dalton. You noticed that?
Oh no, come on.
I'm just saying, man. Like,
why you gotta go there? Why you gotta go there, Jeff? You don't have to go there. I just
found something like that interesting, man. Like, I have no idea why we can't beat Andy Dalton. But go ahead, though, John. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, I think Bradberry was probably the more technically sound and consistent from the beginning too. But Slay has that name, right? So as the season goes on, the teams start to watch the film a little bit more, see that Darius Slay is a little bit more susceptible. And that's why he kind of goes down in the back half of the season. They start targeting him a little bit more than they were early on. So it'll be interesting to see if we see the same thing as well. Because one of the things I've been very impressed with since Sirianni has been there is his ability to self-scout the team, right? Mainly on offense, but even on defense in that first year last year, some adjustments were made halfway to kind of solidify the defense. So what do we do in that situation? Do we start to give him more help? Are they going to roll the coverage to his side a little bit more to compensate that and trust Bradberry more on the island? And it will be interesting to see how the coaching staff adjusts to the things that clearly everybody else is saying.
Yeah, I think that might be one thing that Desai ends up helping out with, because I know Gannon was a big cornerbacks guy, and I believe Sean Desai is a safety guy. So I'm hoping that he's able to work some magic there and have a potentially lackluster pair of safeties to kind of help out there. But
just out of curiosity, what do you guys think about these new coordinators? Like, I know we haven't seen much of. I mean, Brian Johnson was great at Florida, and I know he's been in the system for a while, and he came up under Shane Steichen. But just out of curiosity, what are you guys thinking about Johnson and Desai?
Well, me and Jeff are Temple guys, so we're excited for Desai because he went to Temple and coached there a little bit. But I'm excited. I mean, I was not a big Jonathan Gannon guy. Desai's kind of unknown, so I'm excited to see what he brings. But he's got his doctorate in education, so we know he's a good communicator and a good teacher. And he comes from that Vic Fangio school. So I'm very intrigued to see what happens. And he's got all of these young players on defense. Yes, we lost a lot of free agents, but we got guys like Nakobe Dean, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, all the draft picks. I'm excited to see how he develops the defense this year.
Same. I mean, I think somebody like Pete Carroll, when he raves about you, I think that means something. You know, Pete Carroll is a respected coach in this league, and he had nothing but, you know, praises to sing about Sean Desai. So that makes me optimistic. Like you said, Joe, he's still a bit of an unknown. So, you know, it's hard to know exactly what he's going to bring. But hearing that type of praise from a respected coach, and also just kind of trusting Howie and Sirianni with their selections, right? Jonathan Gannon wasn't perfect, but there was something there that made us a top defense. We took advantage of the people we should have took advantage of, right? So they still left something to be desired, but he wasn't god awful. So for an initial hire for Sirianni, his first defensive coordinator, not bad. So I'm optimistic. Brian Johnson, I think it says something that a lot of people felt it was an urgency hire because other teams wanted to poach him, you know? So same thing, optimistic about him as well. And at the end of the day, still going to be Sirianni's offense, right?
Yeah, it's the play calling for me. I know that the only real time that Brian Johnson, maybe you guys know, the only time that Brian Johnson's really called plays was for Kyle Trask at Florida. Yep. Is that correct?
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. So I mean, Shane Steichen was elite at calling plays. So I mean, it's gonna be big shoes to fill, and that's one of the scariest things for me for this offense is just you got a lot to live up to, my dude.
For sure. But we have such a talented squad that I think, you know, he's going to come in there and be able to do a good job. He's got Sirianni, who's got 2 years of a head coaching experience now to lead the way. And then defensively, with Jonathan Gannon leaving, I'm not sure if that's a huge loss. It seems like in the Super Bowl, he was really exposed and didn't make too many adjustments. So
it seems like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let's give it for the new guys. I'm ready.
I one thing I did like though is in those the OTAs, what I heard is that Brian Johnson, with him being a quarterback's coach, like before he was always standing like behind the huddle and watching the plays from that spot, and then on OTAs he was actually standing on the sideline. So I mean, it seems like at least he's trying. It's not just like he's like falling into old ways or anything like that. It seems like he has kind of accepted that role and he's growing and moving forward with that. So I know it's like a small thing, just where he's standing on a field. But I think perspective, both literally and figuratively, is going to be a good thing to help him grow and get his feet moving going into the season.
I would agree with you, but if they took the time to mention this and bring this up, it must mean something that we're not thinking about. But one of the things I like to say too is I admire the fact that Brian Johnson has been with Jalen Hurts' family since before Jalen Hurts was with Jalen Hurts' family. So he knows the guy well, and I think he's going to do well as this team's offensive coordinator. I honestly don't know much about Sean Desai. When I'm going to be totally honest with you, like I knew about some stuff about Chicago, and I remember hearing his name there. But when we hired Sean Desai, I had to use Google.
Well, you know, another thing is
and against my better judgment, Wikipedia, which I hate.
Plus, like you mentioned, Jalen Hurts, he's going to be a huge part of that as well. We know great quarterbacks can make a coordinator look very good. So, you know, his decision-making last year was one of the main reasons why the offense worked as well as it did. It wasn't just the play calling, his ability to know whether to run himself, hand it off, make the throw, where to make the throw, you know, check in and out of plays. That's going to be a huge factor as well. We're going to need him to keep doing that to make sure the offense keeps going.
All right, fellas. So we're going to do what we weren't invited to do. I'm still checking the messages and I'm looking at my text here, and Electronic Arts still hasn't hit me up and everything. That's my opinion, but we're going to give it to him anyway. We're going to go Madden. And to your point, Jake, we have no idea how this stuff works, but I guess the easy way to do this is I'm just going to give you guys some names. We're just going to go starters here. You guys can tell me whether they're in the elite category of the 90 range, or we're going to throw them in 80s, 70, or if they get 60s or 50s. So number one, QB1, Jalen Hurts.
90s.
Yep.
Yeah. I feel like 94, 93, 94.
Right. We're going to give him a speed rating or whatever, because the one speed rating I want to talk about is Nolan Smith. If Nolan Smith runs a 4.3940 and he isn't anything less than 99 on this game, I'm going to
he's an elite athlete, just a crazy athlete. So he's got to be 99. I'm with you.
All right. What about the backup here? Like Jalen's probably going to get hurt for 2 games. So Marcus Mariota, where y'all got him? How do y'all even view Marcus Mariota?
A solid backup.
Quarterback Netflix thing, and I feel real worried about this now.
So a solid backup. I'm good with him being not a starter in the league, but a good backup.
Totally
I don't think there's going to be any stories this year of Marcus Mariota walking up to Nick Sirianni and saying, "Hey, I'm looking for starting time." I think Marcus Mariota accepts where he's at, and I think he's, to be fair, better than freaking Gardner Minshew.
Yeah, I exactly. I think he's a good backup. He's got the thing I like about him as a backup. He's got a lot of starting experience, which is good, but he's not a great quarterback. Although he does kind of fit our scheme a little bit better than Minshew did. So maybe it'll be a little more seamless if Hurts does get injured.
You don't have to throw out, halves of the playbook.
Yes, exactly.
I'll take that.
So are we agreeing that DeAndre Swift is the starting running back? Are we?
Yes.
I think so.
Yes.
I think until I'm given a reason not to.
Heck, we got time. Let's go all four running backs. So where are we gonna put DeAndre Swift? I'm gonna put DeAndre Swift because of the injury stuff. I'm gonna be fair. I'm gonna try to say 79, just on the verge of being an 80, and just boost up his speed rating. Probably jack his injury rate down a little bit.
Do you have it in front of you? What other running backs are What other running backs are rated? Do you have?
Well, I don't actually. It's hard for me. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's hard for me to navigate the EA thing because I started trying to figure out when guys were supposed to be released. I saw that page one time and I've never been able to find it since then. I found the ratings for the wide receivers and safeties. So today is wide receivers, safeties. The quarterbacks don't even get ranked until like the 21st, if I'm not mistaken. But they're going to unveil certain positions day by day.
Yes, you're right.
This is Madden getting a little bit too much dip on their chip. I think they might be thinking a little bit too much of themselves. But you think you can just release it throughout a week, man?
That's how they've been doing.
I don't know.
Now they got it with ESPN's helping them. So I'm gonna say 79 DeAndre Swift. What y'all got?
I would go low 80s, but look to him to be mid to possibly high 80s mid-season, running behind that offensive line. I think he's going to make left and right.
Yeah, if we're just going into this season from what he's done in the past, he's been very inconsistent. But if you guys remember that first game against the Eagles this season, he was like phenomenal. He looked like the best running back in the league that game. Right. So he's got so much potential. I can't wait to see him in this offense. But yeah, I'd probably put him around 80, 81 right now.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. That game is singed into my mind as he was just terrorizing us from the word hut in the beginning. I'm with you, low to mid 80s, but I was thinking about 83. I'm kind of high on him. He's very fast too, so that home run speed is going to be crazy. We haven't really had home run speed at the running back position in a while, so I'm very much looking forward to it.
Yeah, I don't want to give it a weird range, but what I want to say is 78 to 83, but that's weird, and I'm not going to do that. So I'll say low 80s. That's just pick five numbers, but yeah, I'd say low 80s. I think there's other guys that to juice up into the 90s, other running backs in the league that are a little bit more deserving of that. That's where I'm at.
True.
He can catch the ball too out of the backfield. So that's something we haven't really had in a while. So that's something to think about. Yep.
All right. Rest of the guys, I'm going to go Kenneth Gainwell. I'm going to put him at 75. I believe in him more than others, but I'm thinking what they might do. I'm going to say 75 for Rashad Penny as well, just based off the injury history. But the one hell of a truck gene. And Boston Scott, again, better than people say, but I'm going to say 71 for Boston Scott.
But a 99 against the Giants.
Right.
Yeah. Every time.
Every time.
Actually, to go back on that, the receiving part for DeAndre Swift, actually, that might bump him up to like 85 for me. Because I have this in front of me. In 22, he had 542 receiving yards. In 21, he had 617 receiving yards. So I think the receiving potential of that, I think that actually would bump him up to probably mid 80s for me.
Maybe even 98. That's going to be pretty important.
Right.
I'm just playing, but to piggyback off the rest of them, Kenneth Gainwell, I would probably put Kenneth Gainwell at about a 76. I'm with you. I like him a little bit more than a lot of other people. Rashad Penny, I'd put more at a 79. I'm not going to drop what I think of his skill that much because of the injury. The injury just is what it is. If he stays healthy, they're the games that he is healthy for, he can be a beast himself. So I'm going to put him at about a 79. And Boston Scott, I'll put at about a 73.
I think Gainwell is one of the most underrated players in football. I mean, if you look at the Eagles' postseason run last year, he was our best running back. I mean, he really was. He can be a bruiser. For a Madden rating, he's probably at like a 76. And with Penny, when he plays, he's one of the best runners in football.
Yeah.
He's ridiculously efficient. So I'll keep him at a 79, but he could be bordering 90 towards the end of the season if he stays healthy.
Yeah, I love backs like Penny. Like, I always love the power back. I think to LeGarrette Blount during the Super Bowl run, just those big, powerful runs where you're running guys over. So I'm extra excited about Penny, but I kind of agree with Jaleel that he's probably going to be in that 79-ish, maybe 80 area to begin with. But I'm excited to see him. And Kenny G, I mean, he was a beast in the playoffs, so I'm just excited to see what he has this year. I think Madden will probably put him around 75, 76 to start.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably put. I think we're on the right track there with Kenny G being like the high 70s. Maybe is that what the kind of consensus that we've come up? Am I reading that right? For Rashad Penny, I think what I want to say, what he should be is probably even with whatever Chubb is. I think that he should be even with that. The injuries, I'd say they probably take off 7 to 8, maybe 10 points off of him for that. So he probably ends up around 80 as well. I mean, because I think that's what people do. I think everybody's like, oh yeah, Rashad Penny he's a goddamn monster. That guy's a beast, a little bowling ball, just bounce off people like that. Like we all realize that. It's just unfortunately, bowling balls don't break, and
Nick Chubb. You said you would put him in the same as Nick Chubb.
Yeah, I would say Nick Chubb and Rashad Penny are. I'd say as far as like two most pure runners.
I don't know about that, Jake.
I'd say those two are the two most pure runners in the NFL. I'd say they're pretty comparable. Just one is.
I would love if that turns out to be the case. I wouldn't know if I would say that thus far. I hold Nick Chubb in very high regard. So I mean, I don't know that he's an animal.
I'm saying healthy. Yeah, clearly Nick Chubb, the dude gets every bit of work ever, and since
He's one of those guys that don't get talked about enough, too. He's
in Cleveland.
That boy, yeah, right. True, right? He's in Cleveland, but he is special. He is special.
I think a healthy Rashad Penny could be, but here we are in the real world with people have knees that explode.
Every year, my brother drafts him in fantasy football, and he runs them to the playoffs. It's very
Georgia.
Chubb was Georgia.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Dallas got it. I'm gonna go 88 for number 88. What you guys got?
I like it. Again, Goddard's another guy that's kind of had this injury history, and last year he had that unlucky injury off of the face mask that wasn't called. He missed 5 games. But if you just look at his stats, he is probably a top 3 or 4 tight end in the whole league. Plus, he can block. So I personally would probably put him around 90. He's got a lot of competition for targets as well. So he's probably not going to see those crazy raw stats when you're competing with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith for targets. But I put him at a 90 because he's such a good blocker too.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
top 5.
I like maybe lower 90s. I could see him being 92 for like a tight end. I could see him being a 92. Again, I don't understand the ranking for this, and if there's multiple people in position, like is a 92 for a tight end different than a 92 for I have no idea. But I would say probably lower 90s.
Well, perspective, they've given Travis Kelce a 99 in the past. So, yep. And to that effect, I would like to ask y'all the top 5 tight ends in the league. Who would you say, right? We have Travis Kelce and Mark Andrews, but then are we still putting Kittle right there, or can we slide Dallas Goedert in there? You know, I mean,
I'd put Goddard over Kittle. Kittle's also been an injury guy as well.
Yep.
So if you're gonna weigh that against the guys, you almost got to do it equally.
Yeah.
But I don't necessarily know if I'd put Mark Andrews at number 2. I think the age caught up to him last year, and that, I guess also not having Lamar for however many weeks it was probably hurt him as well. So that's kind of a few things you got to weigh around. But I would almost put if not by the end of the season, I would say Dallas Goedert is number 2.
Cool deal.
I like that.
All right. Everybody cool there?
Yes, indeed.
All right, offensive line. I'm gonna give Lane Johnson. I'm gonna give him 95 at the least. Tyler Steen, I don't know him other than what we've been told about him, so I guess they'll start him at 75. I'm gonna give Jason Kelce a 95. I'm gonna give Landon Dickerson a 93. And Jordan Mailata, as good as he is, still has a little bit of a ways to go. I think he was bothered by that shoulder injury he got in the Jacksonville Jaguars game more than they said, but I still like Jordan, but he has a ways to go, so I'm gonna put him maybe in the 85 range. Cam Jurgens maybe 75 if he gets to start a role and everything, but I'm kind of over another subject. I'm kind of over this. Cam Jurgens is gonna be fine. Just make him a right guard. It just doesn't work like that. We're gonna take him, a guy that's played center, and so like we're just gonna make him a right guard, an undersized one too. But that's where I'm going. You guys can feel free to give me y'all's ratings on the offensive line.
I just think with Kelce and Lane, I think they're the two best at their positions. I think because of that, they deserve a bump. Like I think Kelce may have just had his best season ever. Like he's getting better with age. It's pretty insane. So I think I'd probably go 97 Kelce, 96 Lane. Slight bump.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Kelsey's definitely the best center. It's pretty remarkable at like age 35. The dude just doesn't stop. He makes those blocks down the field. It's beautiful. And Lane Johnson, yeah. So I'd probably go right there with you. I might put Kelce up at 98. How about that? I think he deserves it. And Johnson at 96, I think is perfect.
Cool.
Yeah, I got no beef with that. I think Kelce, or I think if they wanted to throw him a 99. Hell yeah, dude. Like I don't know if anybody's going to argue that. The dude's been first team All-Pro 2 years straight. There's no reason for them to not. Honestly, if it's a 98, I'd be looking at it being like, what the hell do you want him to do better? What point could he improve? Not being older? Get real. Madden.
Right. I know that's right.
AJ Brown's a 91, who I think should at least be a 93. Devontae Smith's an 87, who I think should at least be a 90. Olamide Zaccheaus, let's go be honest with you. I'm not as pumped about this as everybody else is. I think in real life, Olamide Zaccheaus is a 75, and I think if you gave him that, I think Olamide Zaccheaus would be like, "What? I'm a 76." But I'm gonna go 76 with him. And Quez just came up small in big spots, man. I'm gonna give Quez a 74.
I'm looking up right now to see what if there's a Madden rating for contested catches and see if Quez has a 0 there.
They have a catch and traffic rating. They have that.
Okay, I'm gonna look that up.
Now, look about the offensive line. It's kind of funny the way you started this, Jeff, with the Transformer stuff, because my family, they call me Optimistic Prime, okay? Because I'm like always optimistic, all right? Glass full, not half full kind of guy, okay? But every year they ask me, how many wins do you think we can have? I say, I think we can win all these games.
Yep.
So, you know what I'm saying? That's me every year. So when I look at the offensive line, I'm like 98 for Lane Johnson. I'm giving Kelce a 98 as well. For Jordan Mailata, I'm a big fan of Jordan Mailata. I'm giving him an 88. Cam Jurgens, 79. 79. Yeah. But, you know, Landon Dickerson, he's also up there for me. I'm also putting him about an 88, 89. So big up on all those guys. Offensive line is clearly the best in the league and needs to be represented like so.
Yep. And I like what Jake said. Like Jordan Mailata is great, but he can get better. And same thing with Landon Dickerson. Like I think he had a really good year. I know he got the Pro Bowl, but he can get so much better. So I like Jalil, like the 88 range for them. I don't think they're quite 90 yet, but they can get there this year.
Exactly.
John,
I keep forgetting that they can change the ratings in the season.
Yeah. John M says, how we feeling about the Eagles win total? Most books have 11.5. I've said 12, 13 all year round. So I'm sticking by that. I got them sweeping the NFC East. Yeah, I said it.
Way over.
Yeah.
We're finally going to go down to Arlington for the first time since 2017 and win that game. I have no fear of the Commanders or the Giants. If we can just get that other win against Dallas, and I don't think the better team won in those two losses to Dallas and the Commanders. So I got to sweep it in NFC East. I'm going to go 13 wins.
Yeah, and this time it won't. That road Dallas game won't be the third road game in a row because the NFL schedulers are, I don't know, very, very, very bad at their jobs.
So what you guys think about my wide receiver ratings? What you think about AJ, Devontae, Olamide, and Quez?
I think AJ at 91's like a borderline travesty. He's a top 5, top 6 wide receiver in my mind. He's definitely deserving of mid 90s. And I'd bump Devontae Smith up too. High 80s, low 90s for him. I think he can reach mid 90s halfway through the season. I guess since he's only had a few seasons in the NFL, the Madden ratings committee doesn't know much about him or something because he's a true number one. And I'd bump Quez down. Whatever he is right now, bump him down.
Yeah. If you look at Quez and what he did last year, he had a major role in every loss that we had. I mean, even the Super Bowl, he dropped a huge pass from Hurts. The Commanders game that Jeff was just talking about, I mean, he catches a bomb and then he immediately fumbles. If that doesn't happen, we probably win that game. And then the Cowboys game that Jeff was talking about, he was targeted 3 times and intercepted like 2 of them. So I'd bump Quez down for now for sure. Now his speed could be 99, that's fine, but I would bump him down.
His catch and traffic rating is 78. Devontae's is 85. So, you know, if you wanted to stop believing in whatever it is that you believe in, that's good enough. Good enough for me. That's good enough proof.
Yep.
Everybody good on the offense?
Yep.
All right. You want to start? We'll start defensive line like Harry Roseman. So Brandon Graham, getting a little old there, but I just love BG, man, and I'm gonna be hurt when he's gone. Like I was frightened, even though he may not have much left, and that may have been the best we'll ever see of Brandon Graham. I was frightened about him leaving because I think sometimes you just have to have guys like that in the locker room. But as far as the skill set, I'm gonna give Brandon Graham an 80. Fletch is not the Fletch that we have loved for so long anymore. It hasn't been for 2 seasons now, but he had his best season since his Pro Bowl year. Jalen Carter, Josh Sweat. I'm gonna go 80 Graham, 85 Fletch, Jalen Carter. I'm just gonna start him as 85 just because of what we believe he's gonna be. And Josh Sweat, very underrated. I think I'm gonna give Josh Sweat for somewhere around that 87 to 88 range. That's my thing.
This is the one group for me, aside from maybe Sweat and at least of the veteran guys, besides maybe Sweat and Hassan Reddick, that their rating could go down throughout the season. I feel like if they're rating them now, they're rating them after a season where they all had double-digit sacks. If there's one position group where that rating could go down, I would say it is this one.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an interesting group to watch because you have some of those young guys like Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, and they could really kind of do anything. But yeah, I think Fletcher Cox I'd put him probably around 80. I think he's still a solid rotational player, but he's not what he used to be. And Josh Sweat, I mean, he's coming off an 11-sack season. He's a pretty solid player. I'd put him up maybe around 87. And are we counting Hassan Reddick as a defensive lineman?
I was going to throw him in linebackers, but we can if you want to.
Yeah,
he's a 95 and over guy to me.
Yeah, me too. Reddick's a 95 and over guy.
Yeah,
definitely.
And then he also gets like the special power or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, he was really close to winning Defensive Player of the Year last year, so he's got to be at least mid-90s. Impact on every single play.
All right, time check. We got to be respectful of everybody's time. We at the 51-minute mark. You guys cool with a little overtime, or What you guys looking like as far as time is concerned?
I have nothing going on ever.
I'm
All
good.
right. So we might go a little bit into overtime. So right now we're at the 51-minute mark and everything, but I'll try to, get you guys through it as quickly as possible. But we left Jordan Davis off, and I brought that up, especially the time thing, because I wanted to get a point that you and I made, because you guys don't know is John and I argue about everything. We both love the Eagles. We disagree on stuff. I'll call John up in the middle of the night, like, man, you sure you want me to publish this? But I work with him because, I always respect the intellect and everything. One of the great football minds I know and everything. But he had something that he said to me the other week that had me thinking about this for like 6 months. So, like, you saw that strange relation to time. He tells me something last week, and I'm thinking about it for 6 months. But you had told me, and I really didn't think about this till you said this, but you remember when we were having the discussion, you were saying Jordan Davis is on the field, and when they're on the field, they decide we're just going to throw because we're not going to run at him.
Yeah.
And we don't fear him as a pass rusher and stuff like that, so we'll just throw when he's on the field and stuff, and then when they take him off the field, then we run the ball. Like, what do you guys think about that? Like, did you guys notice kind of like the same trend, or do you feel like he can become a great pass rusher at some point and maybe have both sides of that to his personality? What are you guys thinking about Jordan Davis going in year 2?
I mean, he's got the tools in his body. I mean, we all saw the combine. And, I think when you look at most defensive tackles in the league, they're not that good their rookie year, and they take a big jump year 2. So I'm excited to see it. But if we're going off of year 1, he's looking more of just like a run stuffer. But listen, I'm not going to put anything past him. I mean, he can run faster than me, and I weigh 200 pounds less than him. So, we'll see. And he's strong. I mean, he is strong as an ox. So we'll see.
Yeah, that was a humble brag.
He's a young guy.
200 pounds less than him.
Yeah.
I honestly might be 250.
Okay, all right.
He's a big dude.
Yeah.
I'm
I see. Look, my thing was, guys, to explain is like the article was just about the position that I had the most question marks about. Might think is a bit of a weakness, and I mentioned the defensive tackle position. And my reasoning for that was because last year, our biggest weakness early on was against the run. Teams will run the ball on us, but they would wait until we took Jordan Davis out of the game to do it. So we had to solidify that by picking up Ndamukong Suh and Linval Joseph. Well, obviously those guys are gone now. So what are we going to do? Are we once again going to be, susceptible to the run up the middle? The coaching staff has to be willing to leave Jordan Davis in the game if we want to see if he can be a good pass rusher, because they started pulling him off the field. So if he can't stay on the field, the veterans are gone. Fletcher's a year older. Jalen Carter's supposed to be amazing, but he is a rookie, right? So it's just a bit of an unknown if it will immediately translate. So that's why I consider that position a bit of an unknown until we actually see it. See that Jordan Davis could stay on the field and not be an issue, then I'm kind of like, we'll see.
Yeah, I think you just got to give him some time. I mean, the defensive line was just so deep last year that it was hard for a rookie to really just stay on the field. With year 2 and some of those veteran players leaving us, I think he's ready to make an impact. Playing with Jalen Carter should help. We got a lot of good young players, so I'm not ready to be concerned about Jordan Davis yet.
I think there's a lot that goes into it. I think 2 big things that Jeffy kind of just mentioned this, but the being familiar with the people around him. I think that's one thing that's going to help him. But one thing is that he also got to spend time in the D line room with Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh. Like, I think that some of the knowledge that these guys who are playing to be pretty old, and these guys, I mean, Ndamukong Suh has been in the league for, I don't know, it's more than 10 years, right? Is it 10 years now?
Yeah. Gotta be about at least a decade.
Yeah. Like he's going to be, he spent time learning from these guys as well. So I think that's going to be one thing that if he's able or is able to actually like comprehend and take the stuff that he learned from them and actually use it, I think he's going to be pretty violent. I think he's going to be a very good weapon in the pass rush.
Hoping, that's what I want to say. I just need to see it first.
Yeah. not be a.
The other thing you mentioned too that I thought was wise job was the statement about which we sometimes overlooked during the course of the offseason was the loss of Javon Hargrave and everything too. So, so that's a big loss. Probably our best young defensive tackle at the time. But what do you guys think about Jeffrey Wiseman's question? Was the stamina that bad? Why didn't he get more snaps in year one?
The best sack celebration, by the way, was Javon Hargrave, and that's no longer with us. I love that.
I like the sweat, man. I like the sweat thing.
Yeah.
The kick in the door is
kicking
cold.
the door is dope. Kicking the door is dope. But it's just something about sweat. It's just it's the name and everything.
Yeah.
I do like
that is a perfect.
I find myself at home like
Open a jar of peanut butter. I'm like, all right, dude.
But yeah, so why didn't Jordan Davis get more snaps in year one? What are you guys thinking?
Yeah, I think as a rookie, going from college to the NFL, and he's a big dude. His stamina probably wasn't quite there. He's also learning some different positions. And on top of that, kind of going back to what Jeff said, is that there were so many players in that defensive line room. It was so deep. And he got hurt too. I mean, we kind of forget that. He hurt his ankle halfway through the season. That's when we brought in Linville Joseph and Ndamukong Suh. So once those guys were here, we were going for a Super Bowl. Those guys were going to play a little bit more than a rookie.
Yeah, and the stamina. I mean, we knew that going into the seat. Like when we drafted him, we knew that his stamina. That was one of like people's arguments against Jordan Davis was that the guy played at Georgia. It was something stupid low. I don't want to say 33% of the snaps, but if it was a number that was like shockingly low. Yep. So this is something that we knew about it because Georgia had the same, call it an issue if you want, that the Eagles have, where they have so much depth that he doesn't need to play more snaps than that. And then you get to the NFL and you're like, oh shoot, okay, maybe stamina might have mattered actually.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully during this offseason, he's just been working out. That first offseason, you're going through all the draft stuff and you're interviewing with teams, and they're probably taking you out to dinner. So hopefully this offseason, he's just been in the gym working out and getting into shape.
He's lost some weight.
Yeah.
Did everybody get their ones in about the defensive line and their ratings? You guys get everything in you wanted to say?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty much with you guys on your ratings. The high 90s for Hassan Reddick, if we're going to include him. Mid 80s for Fletcher Cox, mid 80s for BG as well. The 11 sacks we would give him credit for. One thing I feel like is underrated with BG is his run defense. It took a bit of a dip last year, but overall he's always a really strong run defender. So I would have him in the mid 80s to take those both into account. Well,
yeah, 80 sounds right. It wouldn't shock me if maybe it was even high 70s. But if you look at just the intangibles that Fletcher and Brandon bring to the Eagles team, Madden rating can't measure that. So
yeah, same deal with the offensive line we're talking. They don't count Jeff Stoutland.
Yep. Yep.
All right, two more position groups, linebackers in the secondary. Well, technically three, but Nicholas Morrow, Nakobe Dean, Hassan Reddick, and I just want to throw Nolan Smith in there because we just so infatuated with him as a rookie. But do we know anything about Nakobe Dean, what he's going to be? I'm just going to say put him at 75 just because I have no the hell idea what's going to happen. I don't know what he's going to do. Like, I honestly don't. Like, I want him to be good, but we started talking about small sample sizes and everything. Jake, you talked about Travis Fulgham on Sunday and stuff. It's like, I'm getting like Travis Fulgham vibes, man. Like, we just got real hyped up about that small showing in that Tennessee game and what we saw at Georgia. Like, I don't know, man. Like, and I'm a little worried.
Yeah, with the Eagles, you always have to worry about the linebackers. At least with Nakobe Dean, though, I'm like pumped to see him. I'm super excited. Nick Morrow, on the other hand, seems like just kind of a guy that they picked up that might be okay. But I'm excited for Nakobe Dean. I don't know how good he's going to be, but at least it's something to look forward to.
Is he a 75?
I would put him at a 75 right now for sure. We don't know. He didn't play last year.
What did y'all think of Kaiser White last year?
I like Kaiser. I really did. I think there were days I thought I was the only person that did like Kaiser White. Like, I just thought he just wasn't the perfect guy. There were times he looked really good, And there were times it was just out there and I was just kind of figuring out what he was trying to do and stuff. But I'm a second leading tackler on the team, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but he just not polished, not the perfect linebacker, not Seth Joyner by any means, but good enough and good enough to make me feel like I'm disappointed that both he and TJ are gone. I don't understand why we couldn't give TJ it was $5 million a year.
Yeah, he could have stayed
because he didn't grow up in Philly. He grew up in Chicago.
Right.
That had something to do with it.
Well, Kaiser last year had about 67 tackles, and Morrow finished the year with 82. I think that's going to mean something for, helping solidify the run defense. I do think it will help. I looked up some clips of him as I was writing my last article, and he looks to be very decisive through the hole, and that's actually what I expect from Nakobe Dean as well. Mm-hmm. So I'm a little higher on Nakobe Dean. Not that much higher just because we haven't seen enough yet. I'd say about 77, 78. But I think that with if we can keep Jordan in there to clog up the lanes, then Nakobe Dean will be, fast through the hole. Him and Morrow can capitalize off that. So, yeah, I'll have excuse me, Nakobe about right there.
Everybody good there?
Works for me.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, what about Nolan? I do want to get you guys in the ratings on Nolan. What do you guys think about Nolan in year one?
99. No, I'm just playing.
Well, he's an absolute steal to get him so late in the first round. I mean, people thought he was potentially a top 15 type player. But, he's a rookie. So I think we'll probably have him low 70s, 72, maybe 73.
See, I don't think he's going to play that much because we have so much depth, especially with Hassan Reddick, Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham. But I was floored when we got him at 30. I mean, I was shocked. I thought we might have picked him at 10 if Carter wasn't there.
Yep. Said that last week.
Yeah, but he's just a great athlete, so I'll put him at 77.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I like him a lot. Big fan and everything. Hoping good things from him. And I like the fact that his NFL comp was Hassan Reddick. So that's something I'm excited about. Darius Slay, 32. We mentioned earlier that, he didn't start the season as on the torrid with the same torrid and the same word I'm looking for. He stunk it up at the end of the season. That's no nice way to say it. Darius Slay was not good at the end of the season. He was great at the beginning of the season. And I'll be honest with you, I was trying to be nice about it. I couldn't think of a nice way to say it, so I'm just going to say what I'm thinking. Darius Slay doesn't take criticism very well. He's not the guy that's making me feel like he's listening to coach as much as in the meeting room. Doesn't want to be told what just wants to hear about how great he is. Doesn't want to be told if he's doing something wrong. But an excellent football player who just happens to be 32, which is typically the time we put NFL players on Social Security. So I'm wondering if that was just fatigue at the end of the year, or if we're starting to see the beginning of the demise of Darius Slay to some degree. So I'm a little worried. But I think putting him anything less than 85 as a Madden rating, I think is disrespectful. So I'm going to go 85 for him. I actually think James Bradbury is a little bit better, so I'm going to give him an 86. And everybody's favorite slot corner, man. I love Avonte Maddox and stuff, but I'm probably going to put him in the 78 to 80 range and stuff. He does some good things when he's out there, but with his playing style, he's so physical and he's just not durable like that. He's just never going to play 17 games. So I'm going to go 78 to probably 77 to 78 for Avonte Maddox. So those are my starting three corners. What do you guys got?
See, I actually think that Slay and Bradbury could start off in the 90s. I mean, I think they're in the top whatever percent, not a numbers guy, of the NFL for cornerbacks. I could see them being in the 90s. And again, another one where I could see those numbers dropping because again, he's a old bag of bones. But I could see him starting off in the 90s.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Slay will be pretty highly rated too. I think that the national media thinks he's better than he actually is, and Eagles fans know that Bradbury's probably the better corner. So I think they'll have Slay probably low 90s, 90, 91. But, he might have some trouble this year with we got new safeties back there. He's getting older. I think Bradbury's going to have to really step up. I think they'll probably have him at maybe like 86, 87. But I think he's a top 7-ish corner in the NFL right now.
Oh, yeah.
Just to be clear, we're talking about what we want to give them or what we think it's going to be when it comes out.
I think it's changed every time we've mentioned somebody.
The answer to your question is
I think
yes.
it started off what we think they deserved, and then it kind of turned into what we think they're going to get. And then we started doing a combination of two based on who we were talking about. So whichever one you want to go with.
This might be why we're not on the committee.
Right. But to get back on subject to your point, probably, what do you think he deserves?
Okay, what I think they deserve, what I say, they call me optimistic prime, right? Okay, yeah. So Darius Slay for me is going to be a 91. Bradbury's, he needs to be a 93. I'm giving Bradbury a 93. I'm very high on Avonte Maddox. Despite the injury concern, I consider it like I was saying earlier, I'm not going to penalize him too much. I'm just want to think about what he does when he's on the field. And when he's off the field, it's noticeable. So I'm going to give him more like an 86. And just because it's a slot position and those guys generally just get a lower rating than the outside guys. Mm-hmm. Something that is an interesting nugget that I want to share with y'all is Pro Football Focus had an article that came out in March where they graded the cornerbacks for the previous season, right? Bradbury finished 3rd and Darius finished 13th. Now, about 2 months later, they came out with another article that was going into this next season, what we ranked the cornerbacks coming in. And they put Darius Slay at 3 and put Bradbury at 13. So I don't know why they flipped those two like that just a couple months later, but there's the articles out there like that. I just want to know what y'all thought about that.
I remember seeing that. I think it just depends on who wrote the article. And just kind of like us, guys who love the game and stuff, we love the same team, but we have varying opinions about stuff. 2 guys working for the same team in PFF. One just graded James Bradbury high. The other one likes Darius Slay a little bit more. So that's just my take on it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
fellas.
Yeah, probably kind of going back to what Jeff said with the national media. It's Darius Slay. It's big play Slay. So that name comes up, and he's got a history. But yeah, it's interesting that Bradbury was actually ranked 3rd because that's what I saw last year when I'm watching the games. Is Bradbury is really, really damn good.
Mm-hmm.
I think I saw Bradbury beaten once, and I think I remember being surprised when it happened. So
thank you, Giants.
Yeah, he's good.
Yes,
he's good.
They cut him. That's crazy.
I think Slay's another guy that's going to have going to get like one of those Madden superpowers, like a banana pudding or come up with a name like that about it. Extra stamina.
Reed Blankenship and Terrell Edmonds. How you guys feeling about them? And I kind of want to get your opinion on Sidney Brown too.
Yeah, I think Terrell Edmonds, if you look at Howie Roseman's history with free agents, he finds these guys coming off of their first contract who were pretty good where they were, and then they become really good here. And like, think of the Connor Barwins and the Brandon Brooks and the Rodney McLeods, those kind of guys. Terrell Edmonds, I haven't watched him play enough, so I'm excited to see him, but he kind of gives me a vibe of he's going to be a better Eagle than he was a Steeler. As far as his rating goes for this year, I mean, he was pretty solid with the Steelers, so I'd give him high 70s.
He's a former first-round pick, so clearly he's a pretty talented guy. I haven't watched him much myself either, so I'll probably give him like a 74, 75. And I actually do like Reed. I think he's a hard hitter. I think he puts the fear of God in receivers crossing the middle of that field. I'll go 78, 79.
Yeah, about same for Reed Blankenship. For Terrell Edmonds, I'd also give him about a 79. When I look at the clips of him, he also seems like he plays faster than his 40 time, which was a 4.47, which is already, it's not bad already. But I like the speed that I see when I when I pull up YouTube and type in Terrell Edmonds' name. So it's about a 79. Sounds good to me.
Yeah. Basing, I mean, the one thing that I've always liked about Terrell Edmonds, which my opinion on him has not been a whole lot. But what it is that the Steelers fans, like at least on Twitter, seem like they were not happy that he left. In my mind, that's a good thing for us. Very good thing for us. You get a guy that people liked. That's good. I would almost, because that's Steelers secondary. I mean, I feel like they're basing it off of what kind of happened last year. I would say that he's probably right around 80. I would imagine their secondary was good. I'll put Terrell Edmonds at an 80, and I think Reed Blankenship, like you said, Terrell Edmonds, first round pick, Reed Blankenship, UDFA. I'd say he probably ends up getting lower 70s.
All right, the specialist, Aaron Sipos.
A one. I shoot him out of a cannon into the sun.
I actually forgot he was the punter for a second until I looked at his name. It's Aaron Sipos. Yeah. I don't want to say what I'm thinking. Jake Elliott. You guys can disagree with this. As good as Jake Elliott is, every time he gets on the field, I'm not sure if he's going to make this kick or not.
Oh,
I don't care what. I don't think Jake is as automatic as everybody does. Every time Jake goes out there to kick a field goal or an extra point, no, he's good on extra points. But every time he kicks a field goal inside of the 40s, I get nervous. Like I don't know how this is going to go. But if it's past 40 in that 50 range, I think he's automatic. So
yeah, he is better from a deeper kick, which is interesting. Yeah, on the shorter kicks, those are the ones he misses. But I mean, I'm a fan of Elliott, but I feel you. I get a little nervous when he's on the field too.
All right, I'm gonna give him I'm still gonna give him an 85 to 86 though. I'm gonna give Aaron Sipos a 69, 68, 67. Rick Lovato is. I don't see him ever do anything wrong, but they don't give long snappers good grades in Madden, so he'll probably be a 43. So, but I think he probably deserves at least 80 to 85.
He's a Pro Bowler, man.
Yeah, no, he doesn't get a grade from me. I'm gonna, go 2 dashes. It's the long snapper doesn't deserve
long snapper 99. That's what he gets from me.
98, whatever. It doesn't really matter, right? For Jake Elliott, he went from never missing Elliott early in his career to sometimes missing, and but he's back. He's back. I like him. I get up after we score a touchdown. I may get up and go walk in the kitchen or something for the field goal. I'm confident again. I'm gonna give him an 88. Aaron Sipos. Aaron Sipos gets a cold 40. Cold 40.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, if you guys listened to our pod at all last year, we just trashed Aaron Sipos like every episode. So
good.
We're totally with you.
Something about Aaron though, it's like in domes and in September, like he's decent. You might actually see one drop inside the 5 or whatever, but whenever the weather changes, which we know is going to do in the NFL, everything seems to fall apart for this guy. But Howard Eskin guarantees that the Eagles will have another punter this year. So you never know with Howard, but the guy to take the job is not Ty Zentner, because Ty Zentner, from what we've seen, was getting crushed at practice by Aaron Sipos. So it's not going to be Legatron to take the job for him, but Howard Eskin, and hopefully he's right, says that Aaron Sipos will not be the punter on his team next season. So we'll see what happens.
Did I hear you say Legatron?
Legatron was Ty Zentner's nickname. He did everything. He kicked extra points.
That's great.
Kickoffs. He could punt if he had to. Anything you need to kick, Ty Zentner could do it. But in competition at the NFL level versus Sipos was killing this dude.
Oh, well, then he got to change the name. You can't have that name anymore if you can't beat out Aaron Sipos.
Right.
Can we call Donnie Dimes or Cam Johnson out of retirement? I mean, we were really spoiled with some pretty good punters for a while. And
Randall could punt if he had to. Like I was looking at some Randall Cunningham highlights. Like that 91-yarder against the Giants. And what's crazy, if Dave Megan hadn't run that down, that would have been a 100-yard punt. Or the way they track it now, 109 yards from the back half of his end zone. That was crazy. But the only thing that stopped that from going the full 100 yards was because it was still bouncing. Was Megan's like, I need to field this, and he went ahead and picked it up. But
hater.
Yeah, guys. So that's our Madden ratings. But I also wanted to ask you guys kind of a bonus question before I got out your way, and I'm gonna get out your way because I know you guys got wives and girlfriends and stuff, and they're probably mad at me right now, but for keeping you guys so long. But I think it was Jai that actually brought this up and everything. What are you guys thinking about this this long-standing, what's the word I'm looking for, this long-standing story about the NFC East not having a repeat winner since the Eagles did so from 2001 to 2004. Is this the year that we finally take care of this? What do you think about these cliches that we talk about all the time? Do the Eagles actually break the jinx? Do the Eagles repeat as NFC East champions and do it for the first time in forever? Do you guys think the Eagles are good enough to get back to the Super Bowl? I'm asking y'all both those questions.
If there was ever a year for an NFC East champion to repeat, it's this year. You can cut out the Commanders, you can cut out the Giants. They're not going to compete for the division crown. So it's really us and the Cowboys. And maybe this is my Philadelphia bias, but I really do think we are a much better team than Dallas. Coaching wise, talent wise, we're the better team. We got a better quarterback. We're going to get it done this year. And we're with Jalen Hurts in another year in this system, with Devontae Smith another year, AJ Brown another year. I think this team's going to make another run at the Super Bowl. So absolutely. NFC East champs, back to back, first time in forever.
I can dig it.
I like that. I really do. I like that thinking. But man, it's 2004, 20 years, man. Like it's just so hard to. Half of me, if it wasn't this division, if it wasn't the Eagles, you just want that streak to just go on forever because that's hilarious.
Yeah.
But here we are. And I 100% agree. If there's a year to do it, it's this. I mean, the NFC is the weakest. It's been a pretty weak streak of the NFC. Man, I want to say yes. I want to say, because if I say no, I'll cry. So I'm going to say yes. I'm going to say yes. They do it, but it is.
I like how you talk yourself into it.
It's just so daunting. 20 years is so daunting. It's like somebody's going to end up being a better snowboarder than Shaun White, and it's going to make me sad. Somebody's going to end up doubling up on NFC East divisions. And if it's the Eagles, that's great, but the streak's going to end, and there's going to be a part of everybody. It's going to be like, remember when? So yes, I want it to happen. 100%, I want it to happen. Do I think it is going to happen? I'm not going to answer that question. Damn it.
I think there's a couple of tough things that are going against the Eagles. Number one, we have that first place schedule. So while I agree we are a better team than the Cowboys tend to win a lot of regular season games. However, listen, we got Jalen Hurts. So I'm saying we're doing it. Jalen Hurts is going to lead us to that second straight year. And listen, you look at the NFC. It's us, the Cowboys, maybe the 49ers, but I think we are the best roster. And now with Hurts having that playoff experience under his belt, I think we have the best chance to go back to the Super Bowl.
Boom. I'm with you guys. I think we do it. When somebody's having a bad day, I always tell them, it's all right, man. It doesn't rain forever, So I'm going to apply that here. Yes, it's been 20 years, but it doesn't last forever. LeBron James passed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in all-time points scored. It took forever, but it happened. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's time for this streak to be over. Like y'all said, we have the team. We have the personnel. And you think about us versus the Cowboys. Yes, the schedule is going to be difficult, but I think we're going to go on an early run. I'm talking about 8-0 again this year. I believe that we can do it. Better defensive line, Eagles. Better offensive line, Eagles. Better receiving core, Eagles. Better cornerback room, Eagles. They have the better safeties, and I'll give them the better linebackers. Better running back room, Eagles. I think we're going to do it again. And yes, we're going to challenge for that Super Bowl because the NFC is actually weaker than it's been in a very long time.
Great job, guys. Jeff, Joe, Sons of Swoop podcast. Tell everybody how they can keep up with you guys, how they can follow you guys, how they can give them cash out, whatever you need to do, man.
That'd be great. Yeah, we're on Twitter. We're on Threads. We are on Instagram. So that's our handle for everything. Our podcast is on Spotify. So we just came out with a really good Dads of Swoop episode where I interviewed my dad, who's been an Eagles fan for a long time. So just keep a lookout for some cool interviews, stuff like that. We're going to be at the open practice on August 6th. So maybe we'll do a live stream before then. But again, guys, we just want to say thank you for having us on. This was a blast. we always love talking birds. So this was great. Thank you.
Well, man, it's been recorded, so you guys are welcome to come back. Whenever you guys feel like it, just let us know. You don't have to wait on us to invite you. Just call us, say, guys, we're jumping on Friday.
Yep.
We'll be back on Friday. If you guys feel inclined to join us, go ahead and do that. But we appreciate you guys coming out. You have joined Jake, Jalil, and everybody else at Inside the Eagles as my brothers from other mothers. So we appreciate you guys.
Thanks so much, guys.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you guys.
It's been a pleasure.
Out with us. Unless something pressing happens, like a Keely Ringo signing that everybody said was never going to happen, then we'll be back on Friday. But until then, thanks for hanging out on this Inside the Eagles live broadcast, and we'll see you guys again in about a few days. As Don Cornelius used to say, love, peace, and soul.